I need to tell you about someone who changed my understanding of what obsession can create. Last week, our episode was about Yvon Chouinard, the climber who accidentally built Patagonia into a billion-dollar company and then gave it all away. Today's story is about another kind of obsession. The kind that starts in a tiny room in Argentina with balsa wood and chocolate tin scraps and ends with some of the most beautiful machines ever created. Let me tell you how I discovered Horacio Pagani. I was researching carbon fiber technology for another project, and I kept seeing this name pop up. Horacio Pagani, the guy who bet his house, literally mortgaged his house to buy an autoclave when Lamborghini told him no. The guy who left everything behind in Argentina with just a tent, 2 bicycles, and a suitcase full of dreams. I knew immediately I had to make an episode about him, so I spent the last week consuming everything I could find. Interviews, factory tours, the story of how he built his first car, how he convinced Mercedes to give him engines, how he turned down Ferrari and walked away from Lamborghini to build his own dream. And here's what jumped out at me. This is a story about believing in something so deeply that the entire world can tell you you're wrong, and you just keep going anyway. This reminds me so much of what we talked about with Yvon Chouinard. These people who have this compulsion, this need to create something that doesn't exist yet. And Horacio Pagani, he didn't just want to build cars. He wanted to build art. He wanted to prove that Leonardo da Vinci was right, that art and science can walk together, hand in hand. Let me take you back to 1955, November 10th. Casilda, Argentina. This is a small town. Today it has 35,000 people. But back then, it was even smaller, in the heart of the Argentinian countryside. And Horacio Pagani is born to Luca Pagani, a baker from Italy, and Maria Pagani, an artist. This is important. His father is a baker. His mother is an artist. You are going to see both of these influences throughout his entire life. Now, young Horacio is different from the other kids. He's playing outside with his friends, sure. But when he's at home, he has what he calls his piscita, his little room. And in this little room, at age 12, Horacio is building scale models of sports cars. Not buying them, building them. From balsa wood and chocolate tin scraps. Think about this. 12 years old, no formal training, no YouTube tutorials, just magazines and obsession. He's reading about Ferrari, he's reading about Maserati, he's reading about Lamborghini. And these aren't just cars to him, they're doorways to another world. A world in moderner Italy, the Motor Valley, where these incredible machines are born. And here's what he says later about this time in his life. I was profoundly influenced by my mother, who was an artist. I was passionate about art and talented in drawing and sculpture. That was when I first came across a quote from the Renaissance master Leonardo da Vinci. Art and science can walk together, hand in hand. These words seemed to open a door in my soul and showed me a world I aspired to. Listen to that language. Opened a door in my soul. This is not a casual interest. This is a calling. Now, from a very young age, Horacio knows something with absolute certainty. Casilda is too small for his dreams. He feels it in his bones. This rural town into which he was born is inadequate for the engineering career he envisions. He has to get out. He has to get to Italy. He has to get to Modena. But first, he has to learn. He has to build. He has to prove himself. At age 14 years old, Horacio gets his hands on an engine. It's a Sachs Televu unit from the 1950s. It's damaged. It doesn't work. Most kids would see this as junk. Horacio sees it as possibility. He and his friend Gustavito, they're planning to build a go-kart. They go to a small village nearby to purchase 4 small wheels. But then they realize, with one go-kart, they can't have fun together. So what do? They pivot. They build 2 mini-bikes instead. This is so important. This pattern of starting with one idea and adapting, improving, evolving, you're going to see this over and over in Pagani's life. It's the same philosophy he applies to the Zonda, creating version after version for nearly 20 years, each one an evolution each one better. Before he even finishes high school, Horacio builds a four-wheeled vehicle. It's a dune buggy, a plastic body kit supplied by an Argentine company fitted over an existing frame. It's not a Zonda yet, but it's a start. By age 18, he's studying industrial design at university. But here's where things get interesting. Political unrest suspends his course, so he switches to mechanical engineering. But then he realizes something crucial. By studying, I wasn't doing and wasn't making anything substantial. He abandons academia to rely on his self-taught expertise. This decision, this willingness to leave traditional education behind to focus on actually building things, this reminds me of so many founders I've studied. James Dyson didn't finish his design course because he was too busy inventing. Steve Jobs dropped out to audit the classes he actually wanted to take. There's this pattern where the people who change industries are the ones who realize that the thing standing between them and their dream might be the very institution that's supposed to help them achieve it. Horacio opens what he calls his factory. It's a building with a corrugated iron roof and basic hand tools. He's the only employee, and he's not making cars yet. He's making whatever people need. His first order: ornate benches for a bar, complete with footrests, fine leather, and chrome plating. Even today, Pagani has a division called Pagani Arte that designs bespoke orders, furniture, private jet interiors. The same obsessive attention to detail, just applied to different objects. At age 20, Horacio designs and builds his first Formula 3 racer, 20 years old. And this car is good enough to attract the attention of Renault. The turning point comes when Renault hires Horacio to improve the body of a racing car. His work offers staggering improvements. This is the word they use: staggering. He's able to showcase his talent, but more importantly, he's building connections. His fanatical attention to detail and imaginative design attracts the interest of two men who will change his life: Oreste Berta, one of the world's leading automotive engineers, and Juan Manuel Fangio, the five-time Formula One world champion. Juan Manuel Fangio. Think about this. Fangio is Argentina's undisputed idol. Every Argentinian knows this name. And Horacio, through his work, through his dedication, catches Fangio's attention. Fangio becomes his mentor, his friend, his champion. And this friendship, this mentorship, it's going to be absolutely crucial to everything that comes next. At age 23, Horacio makes a Formula 2 car that competes with the official Renault team. He's spending 2 years on this project. Every single part he crafts himself. The only thing missing is the engine, which he convinces Renault to sponsor by providing. Can you imagine? 23 years old, building a Formula 2 race car in Argentina, by hand, with almost no resources. This is when Fangio steps in. Horacio knows he has to get to Italy. But how? He has no connections there. No guarantee of employment. The Italian automotive industry is in a downturn. They're not hiring. So Fangio writes him 5 letters. 5 letters of introduction and recommendation to the leading manufacturers of Italian sports cars: Ferrari, Lamborghini, Alfa Romeo, Maserati, all the giants. Fangio's words carry weight. But even with these letters, Horacio faces rejection. All of them turn him down. Why? No formal engineering degree. Lack of experience. He's a kid from Argentina who builds cars in a shed with a corrugated iron roof. But here's the thing about Horacio Pagani. Rejection doesn't stop him. It redirects him. December 1982. Horacio Pagani and his young wife Christina make a decision that will define their lives. They pack up everything they own. A tent, 2 bicycles, a suitcase full of dreams. That's it. That's what they take with them. And they move to Italy with no job lined up, no guarantee of anything. Just Fangio's letters and Horacio's unshakable belief that he belongs in Modena. Think about this leap. This is 1982. There's no email, no LinkedIn, no way to network remotely. They're leaving everything behind, family, friends, their entire life, to chase a dream on another continent. Horacio later says, "My connection with Argentina is strong, My parents, school friends, and commercial relationships are there, but since I was 15, my dream was to go to Italy, the cradle of arts, and create my own car. Since he was 15. 15 years old, dreaming of Modena, and now he's there, but without a job. For several months, he searches. He looks for odd jobs. He learns how to get by on almost nothing. The automotive market is suffering. There's a sharp drop in hiring. It's the worst possible time to be looking for work in Italian car manufacturing. But then, finally, a break. The bodywork department at Lamborghini takes him on as a mechanic. It's not glamorous. He starts at the bottom. He's sweeping floors, running errands, and here's what he says. All right, I do what you say, but I came here to build the best and cutest car in the world. Can you imagine saying this to your boss at Lamborghini? When you're the new guy, when you're sweeping floors. But he says it because he believes it, and more importantly, he's going to prove it. Through constant commitment, Horacio starts showing his worth. He works his way up, and soon he's involved in some of Lamborghini's most ambitious projects. The Countach Evoluzione, the LM0A2, the P4 Feet prototype. These are groundbreaking vehicles. And Horacio Pagani is right there in the middle of it all. But most importantly, he's championing a material that almost nobody believes in yet, carbon fiber. This is one of the most important parts of the entire Pagani story, because this is where everything changes. Horacio Pagani becomes obsessed with carbon fiber. He's seeing what it can do. It's being used in Formula One. It's being used in aerospace. But traditional car manufacturers aren't using it. Why? It's expensive. It's unproven. It requires special equipment, specifically an autoclave. An autoclave is essentially a giant pressure cooker used to harden composite parts. You lay up carbon fiber, you put it in the autoclave, and under heat and pressure, it cures into this incredibly strong, incredibly light material. Horacio can see the future. He knows carbon fiber is the future of high-performance cars. He knows that if Lamborghini invests in this technology, they'll be years ahead of everyone else. So he goes to the Lamborghini bosses and he says, we need to buy an autoclave. We need to invest in carbon fiber production. And they tell him no. Why? Here's their reasoning. Ferrari doesn't have an autoclave, so Lamborghini doesn't need one either. Think about this logic. We won't innovate because our competitors aren't innovating. We'll wait for them to move first. It's the opposite of everything that makes a company great. It's the opposite of everything that built Lamborghini in the first place. But Horacio Pagani, he refuses to accept this. He has a vision. He knows he's right. So what does he do? In 1987, he marches into a bank. He takes out a massive loan, mortgaging his house in the process. And he buys his own autoclave. Let me say that again. He buys his own autoclave. He's working at Lamborghini. They won't buy the equipment he needs, so he buys it himself. This is only the 5th autoclave installed in all of Italy. And then he brings it to Lamborghini and he says, okay, now we can build what I've been telling you about. In 1988, he founds Pagani Composite Research. He's still working with Lamborghini, supplying carbon fiber parts for multiple projects, including the Countach 25th Anniversary Edition. And then comes the Countach Evoluzione. This is Horacio's vision fully realized. The entire car, body, chassis, transmission tunnel, roof, door sills, everything made from carbon Kevlar composite. The result? A car that weighs 1,100 pounds less than a standard Countach. 1,100 pounds. The weight reduction is staggering. The performance implications are revolutionary. This is the future of supercars, built by Horacio Pagani in a sort of lightweight technology coup over Lamborghini's brass and engineers. But here's the tragedy. Lamborghini doesn't see it. They run crash tests. They get invaluable data. But they decide the Evoluzione is too expensive to build and too difficult to repair. The project is scrapped. Horacio Pagani has lost, or so it seems, but he still owns that autoclave. And just as Lamborghini rejects composite construction, Ferrari releases the F40, a road car built from composites. Horacio must have been both slightly livid and totally smug. He was right all along. In 1991, Horacio Pagani makes the decision that will define the rest of his life. He leaves Lamborghini, and when he leaves, he takes the autoclave with him. That same autoclave he bought with his own money, the one he mortgaged his house to purchase. He takes it, leaving Lamborghini's carbon fiber department completely empty. This autoclave, this same machine, is still in Pagani's factory today, in San Cesario sul Panaro, where it continues to build wires alongside two larger, newer units. Think about this. The machine that Lamborghini said they didn't need. The machine that Horacio bought when everyone said he was wrong. That machine is still working, still producing some of the most advanced composite parts in the automotive world more than 35 years later. Horacio founds Modena Design, a company specializing in carbon fiber composites. His clients include Formula One teams, Ferrari, Daimler, Aprilia. The demand is exploding. Everyone suddenly wants what Lamborghini said wasn't necessary. But this whole time, in the background, Horacio is working on something else, something personal, something that's been building in his mind since he was 12 years old. In that little room in Casilda, he's designing his own car. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, Horacio Pagani begins work on what he calls Project C8, later renamed the Fangio F1. This is his dream car, the car he's been imagining his entire life, and he's naming it after his mentor, his friend, the man who believed in him when Italian car manufacturers wouldn't, Juan Manuel Fangio. The design takes inspiration from multiple sources. Le Mans luxury watches from Patek Philippe, fighter jets, Riva luxury boats. He's synthesizing all these influences into something completely new. And critically, he knows this car has to have a Mercedes engine. Why? Because of Fangio's lifelong ties to Mercedes-Benz. It's a tribute, a way of honoring the man who changed his life. But how do you convince Mercedes-Benz to supply engines to some guy with a small workshop in Italy? You don't have a track record. You don't have a name. You're nobody. Except Horacio has something better than a track record. He has Juan Manuel Fangio. Fangio introduces Horacio to AMG in 1994. The introduction leads to a meeting with Dieter Zetscher, who would later become chairman of Daimler G, and they strike a deal. Mercedes will supply Horacio with their AMG-tuned V12 engines. This is incredible. Think about what just happened. Mercedes-Benz, one of the most prestigious automotive brands in the world, agrees to supply engines to a guy who just left Lamborghini to start his own company. A company with no products yet, no customers yet, nothing but a vision and an autoclave. The development process takes years. Horacio is working on the car constantly. Every detail is scrutinized. Every component is refined. He's applying Leonardo da Vinci's principle that art and science must walk together, hand in hand. This is his mission. He's not just building a fast car. He's building a piece of art. A sculpture. A statement that beauty and performance can coexist. In 1995, tragedy strikes. Juan Manuel Fangio dies. Horacio, his mentor, his friend, the man who made everything possible, gone before he can see the car that bears his name. Out of respect for Fangio, out of grief, Horacio makes a decision. He will not call the car the Fangio F1. It doesn't feel right. Fangio isn't here to see it, to bless it, so he takes the car to Argentina to test it. He tests it in the Andes Mountains, where he can push the car's high-speed stability and aerodynamics to the limit. And there, in those mountains, he encounters the wind. The strong, dry wind that blows across the eastern slopes of the South American Andes. The local name for this wind is Zonda, and that's what he names his car. March 1999, the Geneva Motor Show. The automotive world is about to witness something it's never seen before. The Pagani Zonda makes its debut, and it stops people in their tracks. Here's what they see. A sleek, low, aggressive form, deep curved windshield, a cockpit that juts forward like a fighter jet, entirely made from carbon fiber and aluminum, A Mercedes AMG N126 liter V12 engine producing 395 horsepower, a manual transmission, and a total weight of just 800 pounds. But it's not just the performance specs that blow people away. It's the execution, the craftsmanship, the details. Every single component is designed to be beautiful. Exposed titanium bolts, hand-stitched leather. The carbon fiber weave is visible, celebrated, turned into art. The gear shifter is milled from a single block of aluminum and polished to perfection. Horacio Pagani has created something that defies categorization. It's too beautiful to be just a supercar. Too obsessively detailed, too much art. Someone coins a new term, hypercar. The Zonda is, in every way, a hypercar. It came from another dimension, fashioned from a dream. And here's the crucial thing. Horacio Pagani is selective about who can buy it. In that first year of production, he accepts fewer than 10 orders. Why? Because he wants to ensure that every car can be delivered to his exacting standards. This is the opposite of how you're supposed to scale a business. You're supposed to take every order you can get, grow fast, maximize revenue. But Horacio isn't building a business in the traditional sense. He's building a dream, an atelier, a place where cars are crafted, not manufactured. He says each of our cars is unique and came into being as a result of a tailor-made project, born of listening to the customers. The cars are all different. Each Pagani is born of proper psychological work, intended to understand what are mechanisms which, in each client, generate emotions. This is not how car companies think. This is how artists think. And it works. The Zonda becomes legendary. Demand far outstrips supply. Values increase 15 to 20 times the original price. Here's something fascinating about the Zonda. Horacio Pagani doesn't replace it for 12 years. Most car companies would launch a successor after 5 to 7 years. But not instead, he creates evolution after evolution of the Zonda, each version improving on the last. Each one exploring different aspects of the car's potential. The Zonda C12S in 2002. The Zonda F in 2005, named for Fangio. The Zonda Cinque in 2009. The Zonda R for track use. The Zonda Tricolore. The Zonda HP Barchetta. When someone asks him about this, he says, you question something and begin to study it. You come back to this idea again and again. You question what you've done to try and do better. This is identical to what we see with James Dyson. Dyson spent 15 years and built 5,127 prototypes before his vacuum worked the way he wanted. Then he kept improving it. Version after version. It's the same mindset that drives Yvon Chouinard at Patagonia. Always improving the products. Never satisfied. Always asking, how can this be better? In 2007, the Zonda R goes to the Nürburgring and sets a new lap record of 6 minutes and 47 seconds. This proves once and for all that Horacio Pagani's obsession with lightweight construction and aerodynamics wasn't just artistic vision, it was engineering excellence. In 2011, Pagani unveils the Huayra, named after Huayra Tata, the Incan god of wind. This is the second chapter in the Pagani story, and it's even more ambitious than the Zonda. Active aerodynamics, advanced suspension systems, a twin turbocharged 620-liter Mercedes AMG Y12 producing over 730 horsepower. The Huayra continues. Pagani's philosophy of blending art and science, but with even more technological sophistication. Every component is still hand-built. Every detail is still obsessed over. Here's what Horacio says about it. The Huayra is a car that expresses so many new concepts, such as its design and the way it was built, the suspensions, its safety, dynamics, and the craft continues. 6 years to develop the Huayra Roadster. 6 years, paying attention to every detail. Creating the first Roadster ever to be lighter than the coupe version. In 2022, the utopia is revealed. The third chapter. Only the third new model in over 20 years. Think about this. Most car manufacturers release dozens of models over 2 decades. Pagani has released three clean sheet designs in 25 years. But each one is perfect. Each one is timeless. Each one increases in value. Throughout everything we've talked about, there's one constant: Leonardo da Vinci. Horacio Pagani says, Leonardo was very creative in Milan, where he enjoyed a wonderful period. He has been a huge influence in my life since I was a boy. He is the inspiration for the fundamental concepts of art and science that guide our work. When Pagani unveils the Utopia in 2022, where does he choose to do it? The National Science and Technology Museum in Milan, in the Sala del Cenacolo Refectory Hall, surrounded by original drawings by Leonardo da Vinci. There's an exhibition called The Shape of Air, From Leonardo to Pagani Utopia. It shows Leonardo's studies on air from 6 centuries ago alongside Horacio's creation. Pietro C. Marani, a leading expert on Leonardo da Vinci, says, a thread links Leonardo's observations and his insights into aerodynamics with the creations of Horacio Pagani. It's as if the designer had finally given concrete shape to what Leonardo simply intuited about the way the air forges and sculpts falls. This is profound. Horacio Pagani has spent his entire life trying to live up to Leonardo's example, trying to prove that one person can be both artist and scientist, both craftsman and engineer. He owns a home near one of Leonardo's frequent haunts. He visits often to study the life of the Renaissance master. He named one of his sons Leonardo. This isn't just inspiration. This is devotion. Let me tell you what makes Horacio Pagani different from almost every other automotive entrepreneur. First, he never sold out. Lamborghini sold to Chrysler, then to Volkswagen Group. Ferrari went public. Bugatti became part of Volkswagen. Koenigsegg remains independent but had to bring in outside investors. Pagani? Still a family business. Still controlled by Horacio. No debt. Annual revenue of 20 million euros. A new factory. And complete creative freedom. Horacio says, I'd rather be head of a small mouse instead of a tail of a big lion. This is crucial. He could have grown faster. He could have taken investment. He could have increased production. But he didn't. Why? Because that would compromise the vision. Second, the customer is everything. Horacio says, according to Pagani's philosophy, the customer is the only real employer. Every Pagani is bespoke. No two are exactly alike. Customers work directly with Horacio and his team to create their dream car. Want a stone cockpit? He'll explain why that's not ideal. Weight, safety. But the conversation happens. Third, obsessive attention to detail. Horacio says any object which was composing the car was to be a piece of design. The tension towards beauty is, in fact, total. We assume, of course, that absolute excellence was what we've been aiming for. In all areas, in each component, in every detail, even the ones you don't see. Even the ones you don't see. This is the mark of true craftsmanship, sweating the details that no one will ever notice except you. He tells a story. At the beginning, I was taking care of every single thing. When the toilet paper was missing from the bathrooms, I was going in there to check myself. This reminds me of Steve Jobs caring about the inside of the original Mac. The part no one would ever see because it mattered to him. 4. Time is the ultimate luxury. Pagani produces about 50 cars per year. That's it. 50. Lamborghini produces thousands. Ferrari produces thousands. Pagani produces 50. Why? Because each one takes time. Each one is hand-built. Each one receives the attention it deserves. Horacio says, when we start to make something for our customers, the mission is to take our time with every aspect. This is the opposite of modern manufacturing. This is the old way. The way things were made before mass production. Before efficiency became the only metric that mattered. Now, here's what's interesting. Horacio Pagani is approaching 70 years old, and he's thinking about succession. His sons, Christopher and Leonardo, both work for Pagani now. Christopher has taken on leadership roles. They're being trained in their father's philosophy. Horacio says, creativity is mutual, an exchange of give and take. Otherwise, I would have no respect for the company. If the company were only Horacio Pagani, it would not have a future. It has a future life when it has so many young, disciplined people focused on doing new things. But he's not done yet. He tells an interviewer, "There are some days when I would just like to stay at home with my doms, enjoy the countryside, and go out for a cycle. But one of my greatest responsibilities is to build the conditions for the company continuing on its own." And then he lists his future projects. He wants to build a real car based on a toy he carved from wood when he was 12. He wants to design a collection of ladies' handbags. He wants to go to Milan to study the life of Leonardo da Vinci even more deeply. The journalist concludes, "Somehow we suspect Horacio Pagani won't ever have the quiet life he professes to occasionally crave. There's just too much genius in his brain waiting to spill out into the world." Let me pull out the key ideas from Horacio Pagani's story. 1. Believe in your vision even when everyone says you're wrong. Lamborghini said carbon fiber wasn't necessary. Horacio mortgaged his house and bought his own autoclave. Who was right? 2. The constraint is often the gift. Pagani could never compete with Ferrari or Lamborghini on volume or marketing budget. So he didn't try. He went in the opposite direction. Smaller production, higher quality, more exclusivity. The constraint became the brand. 3. Your influences matter. Horacio's mother was an artist. His father was a baker. He discovered Leonardo da Vinci at age 12. These influences shaped everything he created. You are the average of what you consume. 4. Real craft takes time. 7 years to develop the Zonda. 6 years for the Huayra Roadster. You can't rush excellence. The modern obsession with speed is often the enemy of quality. 5. Details matter, even the ones no one sees. Checking the toilet paper, polishing the underside of components. This obsessive attention to detail is what separates good from transcendent. 6. Find your mentor. Fangio changed Horacio's life, not just with letters of introduction, but with wisdom, with connections, with belief. The right mentor can open doors that don't exist yet. 7. Combine opposites, art and science, form and function, beauty and performance. The magic happens at the intersection. 8. Scarcity creates value. 50 cars per year, not 5,000. The limitation isn't a bug, it's the entire point. 9. Never compromise the vision. Horacio could have sold to a larger company, could have taken the easier path. He chose the harder path because it was the only path that led where he wanted to go. 10. Build what you would want to own. Horacio drives Paganis. He keeps some for himself. He's building cars. He genuinely wants to exist in the world. This authentic passion is what makes them special. Let me close with this image, because I think it perfectly encapsulates the entire story. That autoclave that Horacio Pagani bought in 1987. The one he mortgaged his house to purchase. The one Lamborghini said wasn't necessary. The one he had to fight for, to believe in, to bet everything on. That autoclave is still in the Pagani factory today. 37 years later, still producing parts, still helping create some of the most advanced composite structures in the automotive world. It sits there alongside 2 newer, larger autoclaves. But the original is still working, still essential, still proving that sometimes you know something is right before anyone else can see it. And if you believe it strongly enough, if you're willing to mortgage your house for it, if you refuse to take no for an answer, eventually the world catches up. That autoclave is a monument to obsession, to vision, to the power of believing in something so deeply that you'll bet your life on it. Horacio Pagani saw the future in 1987 when no one else did. And then he built it piece by piece, carbon fiber part by carbon fiber part, car by car, dream by dream. From a little room in Casilda with balsa wood and chocolate tins to a factory in Modena producing hypercars worth millions, all because a baker's son believed Leonardo da Vinci was right. Art and science can walk together hand in hand. And if you visit the Pagani factory today, you'll see it. The art, the science, the hand-built perfection, the carbon fiber woven like fabric, the titanium polished like jewelry, the leather stitched like couture. You see what happens when one person refuses to accept that something can't be done and instead spends their entire life proving it can. That's the story of Horacio Pagani. That's what obsession looks like when it succeeds. If this story resonated with you, I encourage you to go deeper. Search for videos of Horacio talking about his philosophy. Visit the Pagani website and study the cars. Read about Leonardo da Vinci and understand why his ideas are still relevant 500 years later. Because the lesson isn't just about cars. The lesson is about having a vision, believing in it, and refusing to compromise. About being willing to mortgage your house for an autoclave, because you know that carbon fiber is the future. The lesson is about being willing to leave everything behind with nothing but a tent and a suitcase full of dreams. The lesson is about spending 7 years on something because it deserves 7 years. That's what I take away from Horacio Pagani's story. That's what I hope you take away too. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you next time.